هذا أخضر؟
لا.
هذا تمام. ما يسمع. خير ما في مشكلة. بعدين بنشحن، لازم نشحن هذه. So to those that didn't hear me, I'll briefly summarize what I stated. We are going through the chapter باب لا يذبح لله بمكان يذبح فيه لغير الله. The chapter that is not sacrificed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a place where is sacrificed to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I was going through the first ayah that the Shaykh rahimahullah used, and I was now translating. I'll translate it, and if anybody wants to go and see the Arabic, they can go and refer to the book. That the Shaykh, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not ever pray in it. Certainly a mosque founded on righteousness from the first day is more worthy of your praise. In it are men who love to be purified, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who purify themselves. So it is meant in the beginning when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not pray or do not stay in it or do not ever pray in it, is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the munafiqun, the hypocrites, they came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they said, we have a mosque and we want you to come and pray in it. And with the zahir and what is clear, that these are good people. They've built a mosque and they want the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to come pray in. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he accepted. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he knew the evil and he knew the intentions of these people, he sent down this ayah warning the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam not to enter or not to go to the masjid. And the munafiqun, they built this masjid, why? To oppose Masjid al-Quba, the first masjid ever built. And the munafiqun, when Islam, the hypocrites, when Islam is being strong and the mosque is built, it causes something in their heart to change. So they want to fight against it. So what did they do? They built a masjid. And they wanted the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to come to the masjid so the people can see. MashaAllah, Allahumma barik. Look at that masjid. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed in it. So we will go and pray in it. Like when these people, they go to pray there, the munafiqun, the hypocrites who are in charge of the masjid, they will then use this to gain people and to turn them into hypocrites and to spread their evil. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most wise. He's the all-knowing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sends down this ayah and he says to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam not to pray in this masjid because it is the masjid of the munafiqun. And he tells him that a masjid which is founded on righteousness, that being Masjid al-Quba, is founded on good, the people who built it are good, that masjid is better for you than the masjid of the munafiqun. And that the people in it are pure. They make wudu. Not only are they pure because they make wudu, rather they are pure of their hearts. Unlike the munafiqun, unlike the hypocrites who have something in their heart against the Muslims. And the link here between this and the chapter, you might be thinking, where is the link? The link is that it is based on qiyas, based on estimate. That an act of worship, something that is deemed to be good, salah, in a place which is built upon evil, or which is built for the sake of spreading evil, is not allowed. Shouldn't pray in a place which is built upon evil. And as sacrificing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is an act of worship, just like salah. And as we explained in the chapter previously, that the salah and sacrificing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are two great acts of worship. So if the salah in a place which is founded upon evil is not allowed, then sacrificing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a place which is evil, sacrificing to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is an evil act. So sacrificing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a place where it is sacrificed to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not allowed. If we look at the same hukm, and we look at the qiyas, if we look at the same ruling of the salah in the masjid of the munafiqun. And what we gain from this ayah is that it is haram to slaughter in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a place where it's slaughtered to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for example, you have a temple of the Hindus, and they slaughter to their gods. And you go there and you slaughter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will slaughter for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that same place. That is not allowed. Due to this qiyas, due to this estimate that the scholars have used. And we also see from this is that a person, he should pray with the righteous people, with those as-salihin, those who have good intentions. So if you have a masjid which is, for example, a minute away from you, and you know that these people, they have innovation, they have bid'ah, they have shirkiyat, they have certain things that are not right, that do not go with Islam, and there's a masjid 5 minutes away, that you know these people, they do not indulge in innovations, they do not innovate, they do not do bid'ah, they are righteous people, they are good people, their manhaj is good, they follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they follow the Sahaba, qala Allah, qala Rasul, they follow the understanding of the companions radiyallahu anhum, then pick that masjid which has the people who are salihin. Because just as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had picked Masjid Quba over the Masjid of the Munafiqun due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling him so. And we should also pick the masjid which has the people who are upon the straight path, rather than going to a masjid which has some mistakes and has some problems, even if we are allowed to pray behind it. And we can also see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves those who are purified. Like He does not love in the same way that we do. So we affirm for Him the sifa, the attribute of hub, that He loves. Lakin He does not love in the same way that we love. And we can also see that doing wudu, not only does it get rid of physical impurities, the physical dirt and stuff on your hands and your face and your hair, rather it gets rid of the impurities and that which is evil in your heart as well. That you become clean of it. That's why we do it before the salah. And then the Shaykh rahimahullah, he goes on to a hadith and he says, عن ثابت ابن الضحاك قال نذر رجل أن ينحر إبلا في بوانة فسأل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال هل كان فيها وثن من أوثان الجاهلية يعبد؟ قالوا لا. قال فهل كان فيها عيد من أعيادهم؟ قالوا لا. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أوفي بنذرك فإنه لا وفاء لنذر في معصية الله ولا فيما لا يملك ابن آدم. رواه أبو داود وإسناده على شرطهما. That is narrated on the behalf of Thabit ibn al-Dhahhak, and he said that a man, he made a promise that he will sacrifice a camel in a place called Buwana. So he went and he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about this vow, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Is there an idol that is worshipped there? In that place, is there an idol that is worshipped?" And the man replied, he said, "No." And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Do they celebrate the celebrations of Jahiliyyah, of the ignorant times, of the times before?" And they said, "No." So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Fulfill your vow, complete your promise. And there is no promise to be completed if it is in the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or if a person, or in what the person does not possess." So what is meant by this hadith, and what we can gain from this hadith, is that if a person wants to slaughter somewhere, he must see, is there an idol which is slaughtered there? And is there celebrations that go on that are not the celebrations of Islam? And it shows that it is not allowed to slaughter for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these places, if there is a celebration of their celebrations, or if there is an idol worship there. And this makes it clear. And also with qiyas, that this places it, or places the ruling on a place where it is sacrificed to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because a place where there is evil should not have an act of worship there. Or act of worship shouldn't be done in a place where there is evil, or that is founded upon evil. And we can also see, if a person makes a promise, he is not allowed to make a promise to do haram. For example, saying, "Wallahi, I am going to do this, I'm going to do this, go to this place, I'm going to go do this too." And this act is haram. So in the first place, you are not allowed to make this promise. And if you make this promise, you are not allowed to fulfill it. You're not allowed to do it, because the promise in the first place is haram. The act is haram to do. Or if a person is not able to possess it, for example, he makes a promise that he's going to give 500,000 and he doesn't have even 1,000, the human doesn't possess this. So a person, he must understand that when he makes a vow, when he makes a promise, that it must be in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed. And a person, if he is to sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or if he makes an act of worship, he does that in a place where there is good, and where there isn't the ma'asiyah, there isn't the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Shaykh rahimahullah, he goes on to babun min ash-shirki nadhru li ghayrillah, the chapter that from shirk is making a promise to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I will end with that. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.